First of all, I'll apologise, it's not going to be as polished or as inspiring as Tim's, but it's hopefully going to try and introduce a few really bad puns, which will hopefully
good man.
Be superlative in some way. So, if you say that the right way, it'll make sense. Amazon Elastic Container Service. Just out of curiosity, how many people are actually playing around with Amazon ECS? It's just me. Phew, that's a relief. So you can't tell me I'm wrong. Perfect. And do any of you use EC2 much? No.
It always seemed very complicated anytime I went to use it.
Exactly. However, here's a lightning talk to make it all seem extremely simple until you actually try it. Yeah, so actually, my experience with ECS, because I saw this earlier in the year, I can't quite remember which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I thought I should give a go at trying to actually see if I could containerize a Laravel app. And because I've been using Amazon EC2 for running services on, I thought, well, okay, let's give it a go. The CCS has popped up, and Amazon seemed to be Docker everything. So why not try it? Because honestly, once you've got the hang of EC2, you feel like you can take on anything. The answer is you can't, but you can probably take on another Amazon app. So just to make sure I actually violate some sort of trademark, there's an Amazon logo, and AWS has a lot of really useful stuff, which is part of its downfall, that ECS is so packed full, Amazon, AWS, so packed full with acronyms that I can't actually stand here and say the name of any one of those acronyms without confusing the logo. AWS, there we go, is, I suppose the EC2, the containers are the instances that you can use effectively as servers. It's kind of the starting point for the AWS stuff. S3 is obviously the other thing that a lot of people will use on and off. Both work out, if you're using them on and off, they work out extremely cheap compared to, say, VPS, etc., that you might use for playing around with code or things like that. And they also have a lot of ways of working in together. They can be quite effective in ways that you would find difficult to pair similar services that are not under the same umbrella. There's also the whole Amazon Lambda thing. Has anyone played around with Lambda? No. Excellent. I haven't either, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it looks really cool, so see what happens. AWS, just in case I was wondering, those are my notes. I seem to have managed to put presentation marks on my notes, so I have to go through slides on my notes. So, then pairing is containers. So containerization, I'm really glad that I missed Paddy's talk. He did one back on Docker. And I actually, as you were saying about Slack as a resource, I was very fortunate to get into a bit of discussion with Paddy on Slack about how to do this. So the idea is that a container effectively walls off your app. Now, many people using Nginx.
Nginx?
Yep. Yeah. So what I found is that I quite like the likeness of Nginx, and it works in the whole container thing really nicely, and it's modularized, so you've got one container. The idea with a container is that you have one process for a container. So if you're firing up a Linux system or a server, you have your one sort of all-powerful unlimited process is the end process. In a container, it might be Nginx for the Nginx container. It might be PHPBelfast for the PHP container, MySQL container, etc. If that dies, the container's gone. So you then have these blobs that you're tying together. And the tying together is what obviously makes it functional. However, the containerization means that what you see in your dev machine should be literally identical to what you see in deployment, which is the whole point. A few more bullet points that I've got in my notes. And tying these together then allows you to do things like say, okay, I want to be able to actually access S3. I want to be able to say hit some lambda function, I want to be able to work in with SMS, I want to be able to, etc., if any students phones to work with that. So getting it set up with ECS is actually quite straightforward, as I found out. They've got quite a straightforward wizard. I think the wizard will even actually fire up the EC2 server for you. I think ECS is also on free tier, so if you haven't used up your Amazon free tier, then work away. I think as long as the EC2 instance is free, I think, don't quote me. But you can do this trick here, which is create a cluster, and then it walks you through the process. This is in the, when you've got your big menu in Amazon with all of the 50 million things that 99% of the time you will need. One of them is ECS, and I'll take you to a page where you can look at this. Clusters, they're actually quite useful because they group a whole set of things in deployment, essentially. So ECS, the thing I found most complicated about it was conceptually walling off the different bits. So what each conceptual thing actually refers to in some real concrete sense.
You go back to the
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to actually go back after it pieces? If there are lots.
You don't stay off too long.
Okay. Sorry, there's only a couple more slides. Just in case anyone finds it a little bit hard to survive me for an entire 5 slides. So you can create a cluster quite straightforwardly. That allows you to, say, group a set of container instances. So actual EC2 instances that are the engine running underneath your servers, or underneath your containers. Just to emphasize that point, when you are running one of these EC2 instances, you've got all of your keys and all of that set up. You can log into your instance as a normal Linux distribution, normal Linux server, and you can see all the instances Docker's running on it. So this isn't actually just a black box. You can go and crawl bits of it. You can even, if you want to, and I've had to do this before, kill the uplink to Amazon ECS and then just play around with the Docker containers as if they were on any Docker server or any Linux server. Obviously that undermines the interaction here. So the cluster, as I say, contains these ECS instances. These are just EC2 instances where they got their spelling wrong around. Tasks are the actual deployed things that it's doing, and that could be, well, okay, take that back a step. If you create a service, then that defines a whole combination of environment variables and containers. So you can say, okay, I want to have my PHP container and my Nginx container stuck together with these environment variables that provide some setup. So you can define that. The task is then what's running. If you want one task running at a time, that's fine. Say you want several tasks running, you can do, I think you can use that to do load balancing, for example. And the metrics thing, I haven't gone into, to be honest, much, but we'll be thinking around it. To run these tasks, that's the definition that you need. So this is the separate part. You've got all of this, it's about deployment, and then you have the abstract bit about defining it. So you say, I want this container image, this one and this one, and I want them to have access to this much memory, and I want them to have access to certain volumes, so that they actually have some sort of persistent data. And all of that plugs together in a task definition, and you can say, I want 5 of these running, I want 3 of these running, I want 10 of these running. So, if you want to actually get up and running, you can do this in an even easier way, apparently. Now, I haven't seen this before until I went to try and prep this talk, so it's evidently fairly recent. You can just say, wizard, I want a magic ECS thing. And it says, deploy a sample application. And you say, yes, thank you, build client. Then you can say, oops, no, you can't actually. Then you can actually get that from a registry that Amazon runs, or from Docker Hub, which is a generic collection of container images. It's a bit like a GitHub for containers. So, in summary, it is actually easy to get started with ECS. What I discovered is once that wizard disappears, then you're in the world of PA. So get it right first time. Or just get multiple accounts. There is a way to get the wizard back, I think. I've had different, that in itself is a talk. There are a lot of objects, that is, trying to work out how these things fit together. Can be a bit of a pain. But when I look at some of the other things that, like going to some of the DevOps stuff, and people are talking about, okay, there's this service that's this massive thing, and it's, to me, a lot more abstract. ECS actually does it really quite nicely with the fewest moving parts. And it goes in nicely with all the stuff that you're used to having access to that allow you to do things like interact with messaging apps, or they've got their own app building thing in Amazon and all of that. So obviously, once you get your privacy settings and all of your security settings in Amazon done, that's never mind talk, that's a developer account, then you get all of this relatively straightforwardly. Actually, that's the last slide. So there you go. ECS, I'd say have a go, have a play, and